Python classes and objects. Python classes and objects. Python is an object-oriented programming language. Almost everything in Python is an object, with its properties and methods. A class is like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating objects. How to create a class? So to create a class, use the keyword class. So example, create a class named myClass with a property named x. So class myClass, and then we have x is equal to 5. So if you print myClass, this will print class main dot myClass. So that means that it is an existing class. So how do we create an object? So now we can use the class named myClass to create objects. So create an object named p1 and print the value of x. So we have here the class myClass, x equals 5. That's the property of x, or the value of x, which is a property of myClass. So p1 is equal to myClass. We have created an object using myClass. So print p1.x. This will print 5. The init function. The examples above are classes and objects in their simplest form and are not really useful in real-life applications. To understand the meaning of classes, we have to understand the built-in init function or initialization function. All classes have a function called init, which is always executed when the class is being initiated. Use the init function to assign values to object properties or other operations that are necessary to do when the object is being created. So as an example, we create a class named person and then use the init function to assign values for name and age. So we have class person, so define the function. So init, then we have the parameters self, name, and age. Colon, and then self.name equals name. So this will be assigned to the property name, and then age will be assigned to the property age. So if we have p1 equals person John 36, so John is actually the argument for name, and 36 is the value for the parameter age. So this is our init function, or in other programming languages they call this the constructor. Okay, so we have created this object and we have assigned this to the properties of the class person. That's why if you print p1.name, this will print John. Print p1.age, this will print 36. Now the init function is called automatically every time the class is being used to create a new object. Object methods. Objects can also contain methods. So methods in objects are functions that belong to the object. So let's create a method in the person class. So class person defined, we have init self, name, age. So we are assigning these values to self.name and self.age, and then we define another function with this part of the class. So this is a method. This is called a method. So def my func self. So print hello, my name is, then self.name. So that is now our class. So if we're going to use that class, we just create an object using the class person. So p1 is equal to person, then John 36. Then p1.myfunc. So myfunc is the method for this person, which actually functions printing this value. So if this is called, or we use this method, it will print hello, my name is John. The self parameter. The self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class and is used to access variables that belongs to the class. It does not have to be named self. You can call it whatever you like, but it has to be the first parameter of any function in a class. So just like in this case, instead of using function, we use mySillyObject, and here we use ABC. It's okay, but of course it will be more readable if you use self. So class person, so similar with the previous example, but instead of using self here, it uses this word mySillyObject. So we have mySillyObject.name, mySillyObject.age. So here instead of self, we use ABC, so ABC.name. So that's a self parameter. How do we modify object properties? So you can modify object properties on objects like this. So for example, we have here class person. So define init self, then name age. So we have self.name. So that is a property. Self.age is equal to name age. So again, we have the function to print. And then here we have P1 person John 36. So John is the value for name and 36 is the value for age. But we have here P1.age is equal to 40. So that means we're changing the value of the property. So if you print P1.age, this will print 40. How do we delete object properties? So we have here delete the age property from the P1 object. So class person, define init self name age, it's similar with the previous one. Assign name to self.name again. Then define my func, so this will print hello my name is, and then self name. So P1 is equal to person John 36. Then we delete P1.age, so this will delete that property. And then we print P1.age, so this will cause an error because age is no longer existing as a property. How do we delete objects? So we also make use of the del keyword, just like in the previous one. We use the del keyword to delete a property. So we use also a del keyword to delete objects. So this class is same as the previous class. So P1 is equal to person John 36 del P1. So we're deleting that object. So if you print P1, this will cause an error because P1 does not exist anymore. Then we also have the pass statement. Class definitions cannot be empty. But if for some reason you have a class definition with no content, put in the pass statement to avoid getting an error. So we have class person pass. So that is an empty class. And that ends our introduction to classes and objects in Python. Thank you very much for viewing this video.